Hey, well, I'm here to talk about the current major transit that's happening, doing double duty as a new moon, but also a solar eclipse. Um, and to let's just talk technically about what that is. First, I wanted to say that um, all my future astrology videos are going to be moving to another channel, another website. It's called meaningofmeaning.com, and there'll be a YouTube with it. The reason is because this channel, Spaceship Instructions, I want to get in more to talking about practices and systems, diet stuff, exercise stuff, and what I've talked about in other videos, yogic systems, that you can use to enhance your experience in life and increase your performance. And I feel that, that information I want to be as widespread as possible so that people can check it out and try it out and see if it benefits them. But I think, astrology, which I love and I love to talk about, and it generates lots of ideas for me, I think it would turn off, the regular Joes and Janes out there who, might just be interested in on some diet stuff. Which is, you know, a little bit frustrating to me. I wish that I encourage anyone that sees this to really investigate astrology, even if you cannot get your head around that. Maybe there's a mechanistic effect that I'm never. I'm not one to believe that the planets are actually affecting things. I think it's a reflection of the general energy. This comes from the Hermetic perspective of as above, so below. It's all kind of happening. Everything reflects what's happening. It's not that the macroscopic is affecting the microscopic, or with the law of attraction that the microscopic is affecting the macroscopic. I think it's just all kind of reflecting each other. It's just a way to conceptualize certain things. And I think that's where the main value of astrology lies, is in as a modality to conceptualize many, many things of your own psychology, society, the different domains of life, love and relationships and finances and artistic pursuit and your emotional self and your mental self. That, along with tarot, which I'll be talking about on the Meaning of Meaning channel, I think it's a great practice for everyone, even if you're agnostic, atheist, only believe in science. There's many people already out there who are that way, who love astrology and love its symbolism for the ability to look at things in different ways. And then also, if you're religious, it's important to know that all the major religions come from astrology. They have astrology in them. Much of the symbolism in these religions comes straight from astrology. This is readily available information if you study the history of religions. Um, Astrology was the first religion, and it's really still going on. It's coded in modern religions. Um, but blah 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 blah. I don't I'm consolidating my astrology talks on another video. I don't have tarot. Maybe I want to experiment with channeled work, talking and writing, where I'm not filtering and I'm just trying to open up to some kind of energy that wants to come through. And I don't want that mixed up with more like scientific information that I want to present. But anyway, let's get to the current transit. It's huge. It's huge because, number one, I said it's doing double duty. So we've talked about what a new moon represents and symbolizes. It's a time of initiation. And new moons, typically it's going to be fuzzy, it's going to be dark. It's welling up from the inner core of something's changing, something's something's got to give, and something is falling away, and something is moving towards another one. But when that new moon actually happens, you might not be able to put your head around what that actually is. It's a time to quiet down and become as sensitive as you can to impressions welling up from the inside and also externally what you're seeing. Typically, you will not figure out what it's all about until later. And that's the lunar cycle, really. The full moon is it's illuminated what that new moon was initiating, what it was pointing to. But it's always still a good idea to really journal if you can, meditate, become quiet, and look inside yourself. But it's extra, extra powerful because it's doing double duty as a solar eclipse. The solar eclipses can only technically occur on a new moon. That's what's functioning. The moon's coming back around, and a regular new moon, it comes back around, and we can only see the side of the moon that is not being illuminated by the sun. The sun is behind the moon, and the moon's here, and we can only see the dark face of the moon. With a solar eclipse, the moon actually passes right in front of the sun and occludes the sun. It blocks the sun. Let's look at what the symbolism is. First, I want to say that in my opinion, you really, really need to know that this moment in time is completely connected to August 21st, in my opinion. The way I look at it now, August 21st was an opening of a portal, and this is the closing of a portal. And I'm going to get back to that in a second. But let's talk about the symbolism of what happens when the moon comes in front of the sun. In astrology, the sun represents our will, our fundamental self. And we can get into reincarnation and all that stuff. Let's skip that right now. The will represents your fundamental self, your true self, not the external self that you present to the world, but your inner self that really only you can know truly. Only you can know completely what that is, and even then you can hide yourself from that. But the self-actualization really is pointing towards how well are you able to actualize that sun, that self, into the world so that it is readily visible to everybody else, into the world, that the mark of it is on the world. That's really one of the main goals in life, is to actualize your sun, yourself. The moon, I see, is deeper than that. It's actually deeper than that. In developmental psychology, the sun actually develops later when you become conscious of yourself. The moon is when you're still a baby and you're not conscious of yourself. It's your root experience, your root emotions. In astrology, it's also everything you carry, both from previous lifetimes, if you want to use that perspective, but also all the accumulated conditioning. And by that I mean in the classical technical sense of conditioning, of every single emotion you've ever experienced, every trauma you've been through, every beautiful, pleasurable dopamine peak you've been through. The moon is your record of that, and it's your core, your very, very deepest core that you can't conceptualize consciously. You feel it, but you couldn't put it into the words. It's your root emotions, your root experience. Now, when that blocks out the sun, that means that root experience is temporarily being highlighted and blocking out your sense of self, your will, your ego. And it's a time to really look at what comes up right then. What comes up right then? When you block the sun power, I like to think of it, your will, your sense of self, and moon is all that remains. take a snapshot right then and look at what's going on in your life. Look at what's going on inside of you. So let's go back to August 24th, 2017, when we had a solar eclipse in the opposite sign than we are now, in Leo, where the North Node is. The sun rules Leo, okay? That's its highest expression is in Leo. So the moon came in front and blocked that, okay? And I think that opened up a portal where it's a portal, a 6-month portal, because eclipses occur 6 months apart, to basically the Aquarian dynamic, the Aquarian energy. And it for me, my personal experience, and also what I've observed in the world, um, it temporarily blocked our sense of self so that we may learn. This is a portal where we were to learn. And take 6 months and focus on the South Node in Aquarius. And what does that mean? It means that other people, you know, it turned off the Leo energy to a degree, so that we may look at not only the negative things but the benefits, the pros and cons, because you can it allowed us to see the benefit of social media and the power of these outlets, the potential that lies with them, the power of grouping together into groups united by a cause, and the power in that, the potential in that. But it also is going to bring out the obstruction that can occur with that, the blocking, the resistance, the inertia that happens when you involve your will with other people, you know. I'm sure that for many people that this has been a theme the last 6 months. It's funny to, like, I play drums, and I'll typically play to pop songs, whatever's most popular. And it's interesting to see what is popular, all the new songs and stuff, and the themes, and how that changes and coincides with astrological themes and the transits that are occurring simultaneously with what's popular on, I use Napster, it used to be called Rhapsody, and you can go to the screen where the most popular stuff that everybody's listening to, what are the most frequently streamed stuff at the moment. Well, it has to do so much with relationships, and there's always breakup songs on the radio, and those are always popular in pop music, breakup songs. But there's a different theme here, and I see it talking to other people that my personal acquaintances, and having them talk about what's in their life, and no one's really talking about it. You can just tell it's coming out in different ways, and everyone's dealing with stuff in their relationships. Is there anyone out there that can attest to that? And what's interesting about the degree, or the vibe of it, is that they're dealing with them in these ways that many people are calling karmic. They're in these karmic situations in their relationships, male and female. All you have to do is read the YouTube comments, or read around, or look at media, and you'll see people grappling with this. I think many people feel that they're in these intense karmic relationships. You're hearing people talking about twin flames all over the place, and that it's difficult, and that it's stretching them, where these lessons keep coming up. It's like a pressure. It's like a relentless pressure that deals with relationships, and people call it karmic, like, because the lessons. Well, that is South Node in Aquarius. That's what happens when the moon comes in front of the sun in Leo and blocks it out. And especially when we've had all this energy coming around the zodiac, and bam, we have so much energy in Aquarius right now. It deals with, you might have found yourself, instead of like waking up in the morning, I'm sure there's still people out there that do exactly this, but maybe there's people that wake up in the morning and instead of waking up and being totally aware of yourself, what do I want to do today? What is my highest joy? What is my curiosity? What do I want to explore? There may have been much attention placed on what are other people doing? What are other people thinking of me? How are other people reacting to me? Do they accept me? Do they approve? How are they judging? Things like this. That's what gets caught up in that. And the problem with that is that it's disempowering. It's disempowering. If you live your life that way and you are your highest motivation is to make sure that everybody's happy with you, or as happy as they can be, then you're going to start doing a dance, and you're going to do a lot of dancing. And in doing that dancing, you're giving someone the reins to your life where they can sit and just, oh, you're not dancing right. Do this dance instead. Actually, I'm tired of that dance. Do a different dance. Oh, no. You didn't dance right. Here's some punishment. I'm going to withdraw my approval. I'm going to withdraw my love. Do this dance. It's disempowering. You're giving someone else your power. That is the dark side of the South Node in Aquarius. Okay? This has been a lesson portal. It's been both to see the benefits that come with grouping with other people and how you can use those outlets to benefit yourself and others. And there's not a point of embodying Leo energy and shining from your heart if there's no one around to enjoy it with you or to receive it. Then you are just a narcissist on an island by yourself. This is a balance, and this is what we were supposed to be learning. But on the other hand, you can go too far with that and lose your own will and lose yourself, lose everything, it's that REM song, Losing My Religion. You can give so much of yourself that you lose yourself. You lose your honor, you lose your integrity, you lose your will to live, you lose your point, the thing that is driving you, that keeps you going. So the 6 months it's almost like a lesson to teach us about our will and about this balance. And it also has served as a push. The South Node is going to pressure you. I talked about this in other videos. The South Node is going to always be putting pressures on you to evolve, to move, okay? And the South Node, that is what you're going to see popping up all the time on a daily basis. The South Node is what you can see. It's the stuff that it's like, it's the stuff that gets to you so much. It's also stuff that you may be very good at. You may be very good at dealing with other people, or engaging in South Node Aquarian type things. You may be a master of that, especially if it's in your chart. This is mostly what's in your natal chart, where the South Node is the natal chart. You're going to be a master at that. It's going to be stuff you can do without even thinking about it. You're going to have a gift in that area, but you're also going to be sick of it. South Node stuff will keep popping up in the form of problems, conflicts, stuff that you feel obligated to do that you don't really want to do, you don't want to be dealing with. Um, and it's going to have a feel to it where it just feels tired. It feels played out. You're like, oh God, this again. It just is going to feel so played out. Those are the pressures that are going to push you towards where your north node is. And this is mostly important in your natal chart, but also in transit. You need to look at where the north node is in transit too for what to do right now. For me, it's in the same place. The north node is conjuncting my natal north node. I think that's why I've started doing these videos and stuff. But both those are important, where it is natally and where it is in transit. But remember, the north node is, you're not going to be able to see it. It's because that's where you need to evolve to. You haven't learned that energy yet. You haven't really learned how to embody that energy. That's the whole point. South node, it's my low battery. South node, it'll be all over the place, so much that you can't see it. South node tends to be you're so in it that you can't even see it. It's like the frog in the boiling water. But you're going to feel it as a dysphoria, a discontent, a dissatisfaction, and it's going to feel old and played out like, God, why does this keep happening? Those pressures are going to push you and pressure you to feel out. That's what North Node is. You can't really see it. You can't really see exactly where to go. You may have a great idea about it, but you don't know how. You have to feel it out and learn that energy. And that's what these pressures are pushing you towards. It's an evolutionary process. And so, back to the eclipse, in that evolutionary process, eclipses are huge, huge moments. And whereas, like I said in other videos, and earlier in this video, that August 21st, 2017 was an occluding process. The moon came and occluded the sun in its dignity, its rulership in Leo, and started a 6-month process where we became very aware of Aquarian themes. I think this moment is closing that portal because now we have the sun in Aquarius with many other energies, which I'll talk about in a second. And the moon is coming, or this emotional self, this root experience in all our unconscious accumulated experience, primarily in the form of emotion that you can't really put words to. It's just your root experience. It comes in and it's now occluding the sun in Aquarius. And many of you may be feeling intense tension, both right now and leading in the weeks previously leading up to this. Intense frustration, intense pressure. But I think that is about to change. That's what I think this solar eclipse is. It's the closing of the portal, and it's basically like pushing us. It's like a rocket ship. That it's the springboard to like, okay, now that you've learned this, now that you've gone through this procedure, now that you've accumulated a little bit richer and deeper knowledge about what Aquarius is. When I say that, I mean society, your networks, your relationships, your family relationships, your romantic relationships, your work relationships, all relationships, your relationship to your culture and your government. We've just been through a process where now we have a richer understanding of what that is. And now we can use these tensions and springboard into Leo energy with better knowledge and better drive. I think the tension is going to be end with this. I need to look at transits that are happening after this moment, but this is a huge moment. Let's talk about some aspects. Now, the sun, where this eclipse is occurring, is in, the last degrees of Aquarius, and it's squaring Jupiter in Scorpio. I think this is really significant because let's look at what Jupiter is. Jupiter is the expander, it's the illuminator, it's the guru, it's the teacher. And it expands what it comes in contact to, and it illuminates what it comes into contact to. And it's transiting Scorpio. And it's going to be square pretty much to the degree, I think, to this eclipse. So Jupiter has been illuminating the deep, deep pool of Scorpio, the watery, deep pool ruled by Pluto, which is the unconscious. So Scorpio is our unconscious desires. And that, when people say that, the mind typically will go to the basest, most carnal desires, but that's not the case. It's the highest desires as well, the highest unconscious desires. Because remember, Scorpio can be the scorpion, it can be the eagle, but it can also be the phoenix. And your soul has desires for actualization beyond your wildest dreams. The highest form, it's all of our desires, all of our unconscious desires. You might not even be aware of them in this lifetime yet, but they're there below the surface. And that's what Jupiter is doing. It's bringing those out, bringing those out, bringing those out. And that's square to this eclipse. And I think that's a positive thing. I think that's a positive thing. I think that's helping us through this time. You need to remember that with all the tensions that may be going on with Aquarian themes, South Node, your relationship, society, societal pressures, the pressure to assimilate, the pressure to not rock the boat, the pressure to either be, a worker drone in society, I don't want to make any waves, or like, I can't take anymore, I'm freaking out, I'm out of here, I'm going to be the eccentric, I'm going to go live in the mountains in a cabin. All those tensions that are happening, the fact that is square to Jupiter, which says, hey, remember your deepest desires. Those are important too. What are those? Let them come up in you. Let them drive you. Look at what those are. So many people go through life and they don't get in touch with that. Many people are out there, even in middle age, operating on what their parents' desires for them were. They're not in touch with their true desires. They're like, what do my parents want? What did they want me to do? What does society want me to do? Lots of people operate based on other people's desires. That's kind of what I'm saying that we've been learning for 6 months, is like, being too in touch what other people's desires for you are. And it's important to strike a balance between that, because that's not sustainable. Your inner self, your will, your sun power, your joy, all of it will wither and die if you only strive to take care of other people's desires for you, what they desire you to do. And like I said, you can see people that they get to 40 years old and they're still trying to complete the algorithm that their parents set out for them, or that magazines set out for them, or that the advertisements they see on TV commercials set out for them to be. Those are all something else's desires. What are your desires? What are your unconscious desires? Jupiter is helping you make those conscious. Examine what that is, and that will help you through this process. That's the square. That's the eclipse squaring Jupiter in Scorpio. The other thing is we have Neptune squaring Mars in Sagittarius. I think this is also positive. Neptune gets a bad rap a lot of the time. The people look at the destructive aspects of it, the dissociative aspects of it. It can be a very scary planet. In fact, for me, it's one of the scariest. But it also can be a balm. It can be the thing that helps you through things. It can be your spiritual attunement. Um, Neptune rules Pisces. It's in Pisces in the southeast. Well, this is another transit I'm going to talk about having to do with Pisces, but Neptune squaring Mars in Sag. It's Mars in Sag is the journeyer. You know, it is the active. I think of like a hiker, like granola type hiker guy on the Appalachian Trail for some reason. I don't know. I have Mars in Sag natally. It I think Neptune squaring that is tempering our tendency to be over aggressive and over right now there's so much tension and pressure, I think, for many people with this energy in Aquarius in the south node, this eclipse approaching, that you could overreact. You could overreact and say, screw it, I'm gonna, you know, Mars could in Sag could make that happen, and I think the square with Neptune is tempering that. I think Neptune is tempering that. You can actually seek Neptune energy in yourself to help you get through this process. Um, Also, we have Saturn in Capricorn in sextile with Venus in which just entered Pisces, and I wanted to talk about this a lot. Venus in Pisces is, I think, my favorite placement in the zodiac. And I really wanted to talk about this because it gets a bad rap. But I don't think I have a more favorite transit. Um, Venus is exalted in Pisces. That means it's one of its favorite places to be. But a lot of people point to the negative aspects of it because everything opens up when Venus gets in Pisces. Too much sensuality. A lot of people talk about the word of, use the word temptation. Um, that it's overindulgence, that kind of stuff, and that's true. That's true. It does. That's the lower form of Venus and Pisces. It is totally the junkie that didn't even take the needle out of his arm, 5 minutes after he shot up. That's Venus and Pisces, the lowest form of it, but it doesn't have to be that. Venus in Pisces is the most beautiful transit to me because it is universal love. It's universal love, and what is the point of all this if that doesn't exist? That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. When Venus gets in Pisces, it just spreads out into the ocean, and like it becomes in love with every single tree and every single experience and every single thing. And like here in the southeast, I was waiting. I was looking at the degrees, and then I was looking at the seconds of solar arc until Venus came into Pisces, and like it was almost like Pisces was receiving it because it was just this weird, the weather was so weird, just rainy, this drizzling rain all the time, and that is totally Pisces, just water everywhere, not pouring down, it's just everything's wet. And Venus enters Pisces, and it just, you can feel it. It's like there's the energy changed, and it's all like, oh, like, oh, there is good stuff in the world. Yes, it's going to open up the energy to where you can go in many, many different directions to satisfy that Venusian aspect of yourself. Maybe there'll be more opportunities for that. And yes, there's a need to temper that and make sure that your boundaries don't expand out to where you have no boundaries. Um, Strive for the higher form of Venus and Pisces. The highest form of Venus and Pisces is universal love, like being one with everything and accepting everything and loving everything and everybody. That's Venus and Pisces. Um, and it's in sextile to Saturn in Capricorn. And this is, I think, such a relieving energy, because it's like, how can we manifest that on Earth? Like, not just an idea, it's helping us see, all right, what here in the earthly realm, in this material realm, where I'm looking around and I'm seeing all these things, how can I bring that down to earth? You know, and Saturn, instead of being in some kind of difficult aspect, it's saying, yeah, let's find a way. Let's find a way to do that. Um, that's that is one of the main energies you can hold on to right now. It's Venus in Pisces. Everything after this eclipse is moving into Pisces. That's my favorite sign. It can be destructive. It can be total indolence. You know, like, I'm just gonna lay in bed. I don't give a crap. But it can also be beautiful. It can be beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Try to find that energy. That'll help you through this. Um, the nodes right now, when this solar eclipse occurs, the nodes will be at exactly 15 degrees 0 seconds, meaning right in the exact middle of the sign. That's what blows my mind about astrology, and makes me believe in it, where not only is it like, when you start paying attention to transits, and you can correlate or just observe energy that's going on in the world, in the news, in on social media, in the media. You can observe what's going on in your immediate environment with your relationships, and what's happening, what other people are talking about, what other people are going through. And you can look at what's going on in yourself, your own emotions, your own thoughts, your own challenges you're dealing with. And then you look at the astrology and you'll see stuff and just be like, whoa, that is too much to ignore. That's too significant to ignore. I, I watch some of my other videos, and it's like, I'm not a very good astrologer, because I just say, "Oh, this is really significant. This is really significant," but then I don't really accurately describe any of the transits or anything, because I'm assuming that anyone watching this knows their stuff. They don't need to be told what the transits are and what they symbolize. But it's the significance that is, when you start paying attention, you can't really ignore it. But what I'm saying is, it's not just observing what's going around. It's the way that, if you look at the technical aspects of these alignments, and when they occur, and see what degrees things are at and what's happening, some of it is so unbelievable that it's like, this is set up. You know, something's doing this. This is too significant and too beautiful and too synchronistic and coincidental to ignore. It's like beautiful clockwork, beautiful significance. And the fact that right when this eclipse happens, the nodes are exactly in between these signs to the second. Um, and I'm talking about arc minutes and arc seconds, not time. It's exactly aligned right in the middle of these signs. Don't ignore that. This is a moment. This is a once in a lifetime moment right now. And that's why I like astrology. I mean, I feel sorry for the people who are like going through these tensions in their lives and these themes, and they think they're alone, and they're just like, God, why is this happening? You know, and a lot of it has to remain subconscious for them. They're suffering alone by themselves. And if they just knew a little bit about this stuff, they'd see that everybody's going through it, and mostly everybody. Some people are able to charge along in their regular thing and kind of push all this stuff down and ignore it. But, like, you know, it's a powerful time. This is a once in a lifetime moment. Right, even right now, it just started drizzling. It has been for days. The weather, it's crazy how it matches up sometimes. But I predict that you can expect relief after this transit. It might be really tough right now. You might be very disillusioned, but deep down you may know what direction you need to go in, and this is going to help you. I think you're gonna feel stuff change after this transit. And be thankful. Be thankful for the last 6 months. Be thankful from what you learned from it. A theme in the law of attraction is contrast. That you can't know what you want unless you know what you don't want. It's the challenges and the tensions and the painful feelings that clarify. This is a process in alchemy. The clarification. They clarify. There's no good without bad. If like you only ate Hot Pockets for 5 years and then you have like a really good, 5-star meal, that meal's gonna be amazing. If you don't have that contrast, everything's the same. You need bad and difficulty and conflict and pain to clarify what you do want, and you be thankful for that. It isn't all bad. The last 6 months will have helped you on your journey, and I think this is a moment where, whether it comes from just so much unbelievable tension and strife that it's like, I can't take it anymore, something's got to give, something's got to change, and it happens like that, or that this energy otherwise kind of springboards you onto your path. I think stuff is going to change after this. We'll see. I haven't looked at, maybe there's horribly difficult transits coming up. I forget. I haven't looked. But we'll see. This is a big one for sure. So I hope everyone has a good one, and I hope it goes good. Get in touch with yourself. Journal. It is a new moon after all, and we'll see what happens. All right. Thanks. Bye.